Welcome to the Big Mike Fun Podcast, where you'll learn about advanced wealth building strategies from real estate investing to creating massive ROI and secured retirement profits. So pour yourself a cup of coffee, grab a notepad, and lean in, because Big Mike has got the mic. Starting now.
Welcome to the Big Mike Fun Podcast. I'm the Big Mike Zlatnik, and today it is my pleasure and a privilege to welcome Willie and Paul, the Discount Lots guys. Hi, Willie. Hi, Paul.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you? How are you guys?
I'm good. I am good. Just getting ready for Thanksgiving next week, so flying back to Chicago. But things are good with me.
That's great to hear. Yeah, you guys. It's kind of funny. We were chatting a little bit earlier today. I got a haircut, and I'm trying to look younger. You guys are growing beards because you're trying to look older.
Yeah, that and just a little lazy, but you're correct. Correct.
That aside, let's get back to business. So you guys came on a podcast before. Appreciate you. We invest with you guys in the Discount Lots strategy. Love the strategy very much. So let's just talk a little bit about Discount Lots. What's the latest and greatest? What's happening? What are the new developments? Where are you guys buying lots nowadays? Kind of the lay of the land, if you could.
Yeah, so things are good with us. Everything last time we talked, I mean, just a refresher to your audience on our business model is we are the land guys. We invest in just vacant land. We don't really do anything else besides land. And what we do is we source vacant lots at extremely discounted prices. So we primarily send out direct mail to acquire lots in markets that are up and coming in the path of progress, that are growing, that where days on market are low. So we will send out direct mail to buy these properties. We'll also buy a tax auction as well. And once we acquire the properties, we have an in-house title team to close on the properties, and we will list directly on our website. And we also list with realtors. So yeah, we invest in markets across the country, and California, Florida, Texas, all across the country. We're buying lots and selling on our website and with realtors. So things have been good with us recently. I don't remember where we were last time we talked, last time we were on the podcast, but we have grown. We have grown pretty dramatically over the past 2 years. Paul and I started Discount Lots just 2 years ago. I've been investing in vacant land for almost 5 years at this point. And we're entering new markets. We're growing. We're building out our sales team, and things are good. So at this point, we're selling over 120 lots every single month, and offering easy terms on our website. We're also growing out our cash business, which is buying land for cash, listing with realtors, selling land for cash. We have a few really good markets for that, and that business is growing even quicker than our terms business at this point. So I'd say things are going well all across the board, and we're just focusing on growth, focusing on systems. And yeah, I don't know, Paul, if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, sure. So one of the things, I'm Paul, by the way. One of the things that I think it's important, Mike, for your audience to understand is, we say we get great deals on properties, but I think it's important for your audience to understand how we get those deals. Like, okay, yeah, house wholesalers, they cold call and they send out direct offer letters, but they're not getting the dramatic discounts that we're getting. Wouldn't you say, Mike? You work with a lot of residential guys. The reason we're able to get such huge margins and huge discounts on our properties that we're buying is because our business model operates on essentially inefficiencies in the land market. And so when you think about it, and maybe I used this analogy last time we were on, but I can't even remember. But I think this is a pretty good way for your audience members to kind of understand why we create. I would say that we create value on both sides of the business. When we go to buy the property and when we go to sell the property. So when we're going to buy the property, we're offering a service to the marketplace. So, traditionally buying, let's say that your grandma left you a piece of property in the middle of the desert in California, and you live in Florida, and you're never going to go out to the middle of the desert in California, because what the heck are you going to do with 5 acres in the middle of nowhere? So if you wanted to go sell that piece of property, let's say the market value is around $15,000 for this example. In order to find a real estate agent who's going to be motivated to sell that, it's going to be pretty difficult, because when you think about it, for a real estate agent to want to sell a piece of property for $15,000 and they're only going to make 3 to 6% on that, you know, they'd much rather go out and sell a house for $100, $200, $300,000. So we like to play in that field where we can get stuff for cheap, and we go to the owners and we say, hey, we can buy this property from you for $3,000. We'll close on Monday. And, you know, this person's been paying taxes, and, you know, they don't have to worry about letting it sit on the MLS and, you know, an unmotivated agent. And so that's how we're able to get these deals, because these people just don't want to deal with these properties. They're, you know, they're paying on grandma's property that they left you for the last, you know, they're paying taxes every single year on something they're never going to use. And we say, hey, we'll buy it from you. It's easy. We'll give you cash and you're done. And in like California, for example, title costs are like, you know, $1,500 to $3,000 on a little property. And that's almost, it kills margin. And then you're paying the real estate agent on top of it. And so, you know, our offers are pretty strong when you look at the details in the marketplace. And then on the flip side, you know, we're buying that property, and when we go to relist it on our website, the big value add that we're creating is, you know, you want to buy that property for $15,000, you can come in and pay, you know, $250 a month, and you know, we're offering the owner financing. The real estate agent on the flip side isn't able to offer owner financing. So, you know, the reason why we have such a great product market fit is because we're offering a great opportunity on both sides of the business. So I think it's important that your audience members understand that, and that's why we've been, you know, taken off so quickly in our business. I don't know, Willie, if there's anything you'd like to add to that, or Mike, if you have any follow-up questions, but I like to use that analogy. I think it really helps people understand in a simple way of why we do what we do.
That's really cool. Thank you for that explanation. And it's really fascinating. Just not thinking through the process initially and now really digging through, it makes total sense. Because think about it. You like you said, just listing a $15,000 property, nobody wants to list it. No agent wants to bother. It's just small, especially in like California, where everything is.
And they got to drive 2 hours each way, and they're going to make $300 commission. Who in their right mind wants to do that?
That's right. So your traditional agents and brokers just don't want to even touch this thing. There's not enough money for them to even consider working these, you know, lots in the boonies per se. So that makes a lot of sense that the sellers have a problem finding the buyers because the market is hugely inefficient. And unless they specialize like you in finding the buyers, they just, you know, they can't get really a fair market value because there's no market for it. No way to list them. There's very few people. And I mean, unless they're going to go put an ad in Craigslist or something else and make an effort to sell it, but it's such an inexpensive proposition that makes total sense. It is something that the sellers don't want to bother, and then the buyers trying to buy it easy, and you create the service to connect the sellers and the buyers, and you make very healthy arbitrage, which makes sense. It's very similar to the used cars, right? People go buy a used car at an auction, $3-4 grand, they go put it on a lot at $15,000. You're going to say, why is there such a big margin? Well, because it's highly inefficient auction, highly inefficient process. Even with land, it's even better spreads because there's no market. So it makes total sense. By the way, again, I didn't realize that it was, you have this great service to the sellers. They just have no market, no way to sell them. So again, thank you for clarifying that. Now let's talk a little bit about sort of the volume. So you do 125 lots a month. I mean, that requires a lot of organization. And you guys have a strong team. Like how many folks work for you? How many folks manage this?
I think we're pushing
125 lots a month.
So we're pushing close to about 70 employees. We have a team of about 10 to 12 in the Philippines. We have Willie and I we now have an HR and executive assistant. She does HR, but also our assistant. So Willie and I now are staying even more organized. But I would say we're floating close to around 70 employees. You know, there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of departments. There's a lot, the thing just keeps scaling up. And yeah, we're close to around 70 people now. It's pretty crazy. I mean, 2.5 years ago, it was, Willie and myself sitting in a little office in a co-working space. And to think in 2.5 years, this is what it's grown to, is just, every day I sometimes I pinch myself. I can't believe that it's real, but, it just keeps growing and succeeding. And, we're, again, like I mentioned, we're providing real value in the marketplace. We're not just here to, try to make an arbitrage or make a profit. We're really making a difference. We're helping people to purchase property, and we're also helping people to sell property. And, like, the way that I look at it is like a lot of, we do a lot in California, and a lot of our customers are people that, live in downtown Los Angeles, and maybe they rent an apartment. Well, this is the easiest and fastest way for them to actually get a piece of the American dream. They're able to go out and actually own something. And if they were to go to a bank, they're not going to get they're not going to be able to get a mortgage on a house or land.
That's right.
And so, in my mind, we're here and we're providing a service to everybody. And I really, really do believe we're making a difference in people's lives.
And that's great. What do people do with the land? So typically, if you're, if you have a land,
that's the $1 million question, right?
Yeah, somewhere, 2 acres in the desert, and somebody who lives in Los Angeles wants to buy it. Where is it? Like in Coachella Valley or somewhere over there in the desert area. What do they do with it?
I think that's a great question. We've heard a lot of things. People do a lot of stuff. We have, some people buy it, and I know, like, actually one time when we still had our office in Chicago, we had a guy who was in Chicago. He's like, I live in Malibu, and but he has a lot out in Joshua Tree, and he was like, I'm going to be in Chicago. Can I come meet you and pay off in cash the rest of my lot? We said, sure. It's like a normal everyday guy. And he said, I bought this lot out in Joshua Tree near Joshua Tree National Park because I want to get away. I have an Airstream out there, and I go out there on the weekends with my friends, and we drink beer and we hang out. We watch the stars, and I have an Airstream out there, and we just hang out for the weekend. So that's what that guy does. But I mean, we've heard crazy stuff, like people make dirt bike tracks. Willie, I don't know. You've been in this for 5 years. What's some of the stuff that you've seen?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of that. A lot of people use it recreationally. They'll go out there for the weekend. Some people will throw cabins on it. I'd say honestly, the majority of people, though, they like to buy it for investments or recreationally. I think a lot of them have the intention to go out and make it a retirement place or build on it eventually. Most of them, when they purchase it from us, they don't actually go out and do that. But a lot of them are using it for investments and recreationally, going on the weekends, making a getaway space. And a lot of them have a dream to kind of have a better life for themselves and a different opportunity to live somewhere else if stuff hits the fan. We do get some preppers, that kind of thing, but there's so many different uses. It's kind of wild what people use the land for and their expectations for it.
And just adding on to the investment thing, like we've had customers who will go and they'll pay for a few months and they'll arbitrage us, and they'll say, hey, I sold this to the neighbor. They'll pocket $5,000-$10,000. They'll pay us the cash, pay off the lot, and then the neighbor will pay them, and they'll make like $5 or $10 grand off of us. So like we've had those situations too. It's pretty crazy.
Right. There's definitely a community of investors who have made some considerable money while buying lots from us. And we don't care if they do that. We're providing them a service. And if they are the local boots on the ground and they have a network, they can go ahead and make some money on it as well.
Yeah, it makes total sense. That's actually a great idea. Maybe the neighbor needs it and didn't know it was for sale, and it makes all the difference. If they got to expand their land and do something, that's the highest value probably, is to sell to a neighbor. Makes a lot of sense. So what do you see into 2022 in your business? And nowhere today it smells like recession. But it's land, right? And some people say, hey, during recession, land goes first. Well, your business is very different because it's land and it's receivables. which is drastically different versus raw land that's just sitting out there and you have to pay taxes on it. So what happens kind of use case scenarios, right? If things slow down and the economy starts really struggling, do people continue to pay these lots, or are you going to get, some of these you're going to repossess, which really doesn't, you don't foreclose on them. People stop paying, you just take the, there's nothing to take. It's already your land. They just lose the land contract. So just some thoughts in kind of the good, the bad, the ugly scenarios. Just a final thought. Obviously, the land has been appreciating substantially in the last few months and years. It's been a great play. So what do things turn? How do you protect the portfolio from downside? And what happens if things continue to roll forward?
Sure. I'll answer the first part, and I think it's a very important question. Is what does happen? And so one of the things, and the beautiful thing about our business is that we're pretty well protected in a downside situation because, and it all comes down to the golden rule of real estate: is you make your money on the buy, right? Like you don't make it on the sell, you make it on the buy. So like I mentioned before, we're purchasing these things for so low, like 20 cents on the dollar of what retail prices are. So for us, a downside situation looks like we're selling these things for less money. But even at, like, let's say that we had a property and, we wanted to sell it at our break-even price. Our break-even price, even in a downside scenario, is going to be significantly lower than anyone else selling on the market. So we've built in almost all of our protection is built into these extremely low purchase costs of these properties. And you have to remember, we're not holding houses. We don't have massive tax bills on these things. Like even in California, you're talking $100, in taxes on a property, or $50. I think in Arizona, there's places where it's $10 to pay taxes. So, it's land. It's not a house. It's not depreciating. We don't have to worry about, during a recession, we got to fix the roof. It's just land. And so I don't know, Willie, if you want to chime in there, but that's the way that we really like to look at it.
Right. And so, everything Paul mentioned is accurate. And I'd say our CFO, he comes from the buy here, pay here space. He always compares our model to theirs because he does auto lending, that kind of thing. And he thinks our business model is fantastic in so many different ways and just better in every single way than the auto space. So it's a very similar model to buy here, pay here, to auto lending. The only difference is the underlying asset is land, and our margins are so much wider than the auto space. So when we sell a property, we'll sell it around 5 to 7 times what we buy for on average, and we get our cash back in about maybe 12 to 18 months in that time frame. So our risk is really mitigated on our portfolio. Our portfolio risk is extremely mitigated because we're getting our cash back so quickly, and we're selling it at such big margins. So that is one thing. And then the other thing is the risk of a default. If someone buys a property from us, they start making payments over time, and then for whatever reason, they come into a financial situation, they can no longer make payments. We don't need to go chase down a car. We don't need to look at the GPS coordinate and then chase them down. And in addition to that, our cost of foreclosure, our cost of reselling is basically minimal. And then lastly, when we do, if in fact we have to default a buyer, we get the property back and it's worth just as much, if not more than what it was when we bought it. So in a recessionary environment, in that kind of scenario, we're in theory, it's really the best financial position that we will ever be in. Not that obviously we really don't want that situation to happen. We would love for everything to keep booming, everyone to keep making payments. But in a downside scenario, we're very much protected because of the appreciating nature of the underlying assets and the discount that we bought those properties at. So we're very much a real estate business. The reason we're doing so well is because we're buying property at discounted pricing, and we're very protected in a downside scenario. You might say in a recessionary environment, your liquidity will be a little lower, and our business is also very protected from that standpoint because we are growing our cash business so substantially, and even in a downside scenario, we'll have plenty of liquidity, and our the amount of cash deals that we're turning and turning is going up so dramatically. And I mean, just to share that side of the business and some of the numbers that we're turning over there. I mean, this month this month will be our best month ever in our cash business. Some numbers for you there. I mean, so we're buying properties for, I'm just looking at our deal sheet right now. Some properties that we bought for $7,600, selling for $27,000, $8,600, another $27,000 sale. Yeah, these are all cash. 6,000 selling for 27,000. That bigger sale that I told you about previously, Mike, closed this month. We bought it for 105, sold it for 460.
But that's an infill, right? That's not boonies.
That was not boonies. No, it's a few acres. And then we've got another one that we bought for 50, selling for 110. Another one at 12 to 26. So our cash business is generating a lot more cash, and that is, at this point, it's generating about 2/3 of our cash, if not more, of the cash that comes into our business. So in theory, a downside scenario will be given the fundamentals of our business, not a bad scenario for us. From the terms business and from a liquidity standpoint, our cash business is turning so quickly. We don't envision in a downside scenario, a recessionary environment, that'll turn much, if any. And so we feel very good, especially, again, given the fundamentals, we're buying at good prices. And our company is 100% focused on the buy. So I guess that's how I would answer that question.
I think it's a great answer. Certainly encourage cash business. I mean, it's a flip, and the spreads you're making, almost staggering. I remember we're chatting a while back, and you'd make 5-6 times what you paid for it on a receivable sale, on a seller finance sale. But I didn't realize you're flipping just as much on cash. So is there a big difference between what you can sell in receivables versus what you've been able to sell for cash? What are the use cases? So you bought a lot for $7-8 grand, and you're selling it for cash in the high 20s. Maybe it's a little bit smaller multiple, but cash is the king. You don't have to wait for 5-6 years to get paid, so you can forego a little bit of a future upside as long as you can get the cash today, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I think traditionally we've sold directly on our website because it's the path of least resistance. We sell easy monthlies, easy down payments. And just because there's so many buyers, the market is actually enormous for vacant land. It's just a lot of that market is unserved because they don't want to pay cash. They don't have cash in their bank account. So that's kind of where we started. And that's the market that we continue to serve and continue to grow, because that's a huge inefficiency that we're helping to fix. Recently, last December, we really started focusing on some cash deals, and the progress that we've made today on that side of the business is so dramatic. I mean, recently, last couple of months, Paul and I were like, well, what happens if we list these properties on the MLS just to see what happens? And so we hire like 1 or 2 people to kind of help out with that project. And we just list some properties, they start selling, and we're like, well, why don't we just try to scale this as well? So now, I mean, obviously we're growing the terms business, the discountlots.com. That's a huge focus for us. But now we discovered the MLS and the power of it, and now we're churning.
Mike. Sometimes we do things backwards around here, and we learn the hard way. But it's all good, because we learned that we could. I mean, you guys have to remember, those listening, and Mike, those 125 sales a month are just on our website, just through online marketing. And just for people that don't know me or Willie, my background is in e-commerce and internet marketing and sales, and Willie's background is in real estate and investment banking. And that's kind of how we joined together. But you have to remember, those 125 sales, that has nothing to do with the MLS. That's no real estate. That's just us. That is just discountlots.com. So now we're starting to use these other channels, and it's really creating a lot of power and drive, and we're really moving this thing forward. And so we're really excited about it.
Yeah, it's funny. I've been in real estate almost 5 years at this point, and just now discovering how to use the MLS. So Yeah, we definitely had a different real estate experience than most people who get involved in real estate.
Well, there's nothing wrong with what you've gone through. In fact, MLS is typical for agents and brokers. And as you mentioned, this product is not ideal for agents and brokers unless it's an infill, a little bit more expensive land. Maybe those are the lots you could flip for MLS. But it is something that you could grow your, I guess, sales channel through, especially for the cash business. That's my 2 cents. Again, depending on the market, some markets may be very active land sales on MLS. Some may be completely stagnant. There's nothing going on in MLS as far as the land sales. And as you said, most of the agents and brokers, they want to sell a house on land, not land, because it's just, commissions are a bajillion times higher. But hey, it's life is a journey. Life is a learning experience. You're learning that you could use MLS from time to time, and it becomes another tool in your toolbox. So
yeah, one of the things we're also doing is we're also saying we're messing with the flat fee MLS, because no one in our office is brokers. None of us are brokers or anything like that. So we use stuff. I think it's called like HomeCoin or something like that. And there's in certain counties, we can just list the stuff ourselves on the MLS and offer owner financing on the MLS, whereas a real estate agent doesn't really offer owner finance. So we're also learning and trying, and it's working, is marketing our properties just through more channels. That's really all it is.
You can drive traffic. My guess would be you could drive traffic maybe from MLS back to your website, as long as you're paying the listing fees, and folks are looking at this. I think some of the other engines step into MLS, some of the internet searches, and I don't know if Zillow taps into MLS. Maybe some of them do, but conceptually, it won't hurt. It's just another marketing venue. So makes a lot of. I know you recently bought a bunch of stuff through an auction, a bunch of, was it a tax auction, or was it what kind of auction that you guys picked up a bunch of lots at?
We had earlier in the year, we did a couple tax auctions, and then we had a recent transaction with one guy who sold us 200 properties, and that was just a private sale. I don't even know how that thing came about, but that's been an interesting deal. So that was a good deal for us. But we haven't done a lot of big. We're focused more on because we have a pretty solid amount of inventory. We're more focused now on doing, these deals where we buy for 100 and sell for 200 versus spend 200 on 200 lots or something like that, right? So we haven't had a lot of the bigger deals in the last few months in terms of quantity of lots.
But yeah, tax auctions there. I think they were April, May, June. That time frame, we had like 4, 5, 6 tax auctions that we attended. So those have been a good source for getting lots in key markets in quantity.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Just a couple of quick questions, and we got to wrap up. Great insight. So congratulations, guys, on your phenomenal growth. We're delighted to be working closely with you, continue to provide capital for your growth. So it's been a great journey for you, and we appreciate the relationship. But sort of final thoughts. You guys sticking with the program? You think there's enough upside for you to grow the business, or you're going to branch into any other parts of real estate? Or you sticking with just land as you become, jack of all trades, a master of none, or you continue to be a master of just one trade and continue to grow there?
Yeah, for us, we're tripling down on buying land and lots. Is what we're experts at. We're trying to, build out our, a lot of, bringing in-house due diligence and stuff like that instead of relying on outside services. We're investing heavy on our infrastructure now. So investing in technology, investing in building out a bigger, better, more advanced website, better inventory management. And, for us, we want to be at a point where we're selling 1,000 lots a month, and I really do think that it's very, very possible in the next year and a half, maybe 2 years tops, to be at, a number like that. The market is endless, and you have to think about it. since the beginning of time, man has bought and sold land, right? It's always been around and it always will be around. And there's, I forget how many tens of millions of parcels in the United States. The opportunity is so vast and so large that we really do see this as a huge business, and we're doubling down on everything we're doing and not getting distracted with, fix and flips and burr and this and that. That's just not in our toolbox.
Right. And we've thought about, we've stuck our toe in some land development. The only issue with development is it just takes so long. So we intended to try to do some of that. And we have very minor projects working on, but the projects, the working with the counties, the builders, getting the permitting, all that stuff, it just takes so long. So sticking to land, knowing what we know, and the profitability on just the lots is enormous, and the potential that we see, I think, in for us and our business in 12 months, if we just focus on what we're best at, is endless. So we don't want to get distracted. We see the opportunity, and so we're just going to stick with what we're good at.
That's great focus and great comments. I have to say that it's very easy to get distracted in this day and age with the construction material costs and labor going to the roof. New developments or land improvements, costly propositions, and you have to become an expert in that. There's a lot more risk with that. You almost don't need to go there because what you got is a great niche. I actually had a recent presentation called the term is been around. The riches in the niches, and actually talked about your niche. It's a really cool niche because it is a niche, and you can continue to develop this. It's almost like you said, endless. Just got to get better technologically, inventory management, but it's got a lot of legs. So again, congratulations, guys, on great growth. Continue to keep pushing forward. Appreciate both of you. Love working with you guys, and thank you for coming on the podcast and sharing kind of your story. And as in the Star Wars, as you remember, there's the expression, stay on target. You got a great target, so stay on target. Any other ways for folks can find you? I think discountlots.com, right? That's the
Feel free to reach out, Paul, at discountlots.com, or Willie, Willie, at discountlots.com. And we've told you about all the great things we're doing, and if anyone out here is listening and they want to get involved and they want to invest with us, Mike's here. Mike's our guy. Mike's the driving force behind helping us scale this thing up. So if you are interested, talk to Mike. Mike's the guy. He's Big Mike, and he's the guy.
Thank you, Willie and Paul. Yeah, we have a great setup. So we get investors great returns, a little bit of arbitrage for our funds, but it benefits you for providing financing, and it actually generates strong yield to our fund investors, specifically Tempo Income Fund. So appreciate folks. This is not solicitation. If you're interested, request a PPM, private placement memorandum. That's a formal offering document. This is just an educational podcast. So thank you all very much. Thank you, Willie. Thank you, Paul. And have a great weekend.
Thanks, Mike. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Big Mike Fund Podcast. To receive your copy of Mike's How to Choose a Smart Real Estate Fund book, head to BigMikeFund.com or visit Amazon and type Mike's slot name. Keep listening and keep investing Big Mike style. See you on the next episode.